got a good practice in relative to some special situations, some 2-minute red zone. Got a lot of work in offensively, defensively, special teams. Michigan State does a really good job in special teams, so covering a lot of different situations there. Again, a good day, good work day. Again, I think from my perspective, the preparation has been really good. Our guys have really improved each day in terms of what we're asking them to do, and they're doing their job. So now they just got to execute well on Saturdays, and if we do that, we got a chance to be a pretty good football team as we continue to play more games. So, not much to report other than pretty good work day for us. So, questions?
Brian,
what's on your mind?
Corey seemed to be pretty optimistic that he was going to be able to play on Saturday.
Yeah.
What do you say about that?
Yeah, he's playing.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be playing.
And how has he looked in practice?
I thought he was a little rusty Tuesday. And Wednesday he was a little better. I think today he got back into the rhythm. We got into a couple of long drives in 2-minute, and he made some plays in 2-minute, which I think got him back into his rhythm. It's when you take a week off in our offense where, there's so much volume for those wide receivers, you lose a little bit of that. And he was a little sore, muscular soreness, not, anything with the head or neck. And he was a little stiff and sore the first day or two, so it was kind of getting the kinks out. But today he looked pretty much back to where he had been.
You had mentioned, I think this was the week that Nick Watkins was going to get a second look. There's been some bone growth there that has been a positive sign for us. We'll get another X-ray. They did a scan, and now they'll do a little bit more further work next week, and we'll probably have a definitive word on him sometime next week. He practiced very hard this week. He was in a lot of football this week. So if the signs came back, best case scenario,
2 weeks.
Could he? And do you think he could help you this year?
Yeah, I mean, he's a kid that started for us and played pretty good in the bowl game. He's in pretty good shape. His volume was really good in practice. On our GPS, he was about a 460, 470, which is pretty high for any of our players. So his ability to take on volume was really good. We just got to get a green light that we're not, putting him in a position where he could, hurt himself. So, we're hopeful maybe a week, 2 weeks, a couple of weeks.
Brian, going back to Sean Crawford again, it seemed the injury that he did suffer didn't necessarily happen when he made that play on the wide receiver. I was wondering if you guys have looked at that anymore, saying on how kind of a freak accident it kind of was, that it wasn't necessarily during a play, but somewhat similar to what happened to Drew last year too.
No, it happened on that play. Yeah, he actually put his foot down on the ground, and he's and when he twisted, he is such a great athlete. Most people would have broken their ankle, but he was able to really plant his foot and turn, and he turned at such an angle on his foot that the torque just tore the Achilles tendon. And it was pretty clear when they went in there today that the way the tendon was torn, it was stretched and torn, which, we've had a couple of tendons where sometimes there's a lot of pre-damage, if you will, where it just pops because there's damage there from before. This was clearly one where it just was elongated to the point where the fibers tore. So it was clearly on the play where he put his foot in the ground and tore it. It's just when he got up, he never felt it. He jumped, came back down, and then when he took a step is when he felt it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was seeing, if that was something where he did.
No,
step
it
back
was
on the ground.
torn, his foot was in the ground,
Okay.
and the injury occurred when he torqued himself around to make the play on the ball.
And obviously, you know more about the science stuff to the field than I do, but is there any sort of coincidence at all on just some of the injuries that have happened with the artificial turf that you've had compared to the grass that you've had in previous years at all?
No, it's, in this instance, it's just an extraordinary situation and an athlete who's pretty gifted and was able to, like I said, in most instances, the ankle would have given, but he's a pretty flexible athlete that he was able to actually pivot and turn on the ball of his foot at the circumference that he did, and the Achilles tendon gave out.
Brian, when you have a defense like Michigan State, it's physical, always downhill. Where do you see where they could potentially be vulnerable, if at all?
Well, I mean, they're a great defense, and you got to pick your spots. You know, try to find some opportunities in the running game. You know, they're not much of a zone team, so play action really doesn't disrupt them that much, right? So you try to, you know, you got to try to get some shots down the field. There's going to be opportunities where we're going to have to win some one-on-one matchups, and carve out, you know, the best way we can through field position as well. You know, do a great job of taking care of the football and operate in that fashion, because they're just a really good defense. So carve out the opportunities in the run game that you see that are available for you there. Take some shots down the field, and, you know, create opportunities through all phases in the game. You know, defensively doing a good job and setting up the offense through field position, and then obviously trying to be opportunistic in special teams.
And on Michigan State's side of the ball for offense, you know, there's nothing really, you know what's coming. They're going to run the football down your throat. Is it a matter of just winning matchups, or is there, I mean, when teams know it's coming, but they still find success with it, you know?
Well, they do other things. I mean, like I said, it's more, they got smart coaches. They know what they're doing. I mean, they get in the shotgun. They can spread it out. They've got some tight ends that can catch it and get in some good matchups. The receivers are really good Big Ten receivers. So we don't need to minimize Michigan State at all. They've got good players, and they've got good schemes and good coaches. They're not going to line up in box formation and shift around and hand the ball up to the four horsemen. This is going to be a little bit more than that. So it's going to be a challenge for us.
Brian, I know early in your time here, Lou and Arrow were really good resources for you. I know there was the 66, so Arrow's going to be around. I know Lou's sneaking in this weekend.
Yeah.
Do you get a chance to touch base with them? Are you still able to kind of glean stuff from those guys?
Oh yeah, we're Aaron has been great. You know, obviously he's somebody that, both of them, that I respect greatly, and Aaron and I get a chance to talk pretty much through correspondence during the year. He drops me a note virtually every week, and then through our foundations we get a chance to spend time, and same thing with Coach Holtz. So that keeps us connected. The charitable work, which inevitably allows us to segue into football topics. So yeah, that connection stays, because they stay connected to Notre Dame too.
When he drops you a note, is it a text message or email?
No, he writes a card to me. I keep them all. I have a book of cards that he drops me after most games. It's pretty special.
Motivating things that he puts in there?
No, just I think everybody knows Coach Parsegian. He's not a man of many words, but they are, for me, just inspirational in the sense that, you know, at 90-something years old, he takes the time to write me a note, and I can read them. Very legible.
This may be totally irrelevant, but anything that has come out from the previous Coney, Stefferson, Ashton White, any feedback from the
No, nothing from the university.
nothing at this point,
So it's just business as usual?
for me. Yep.
Brian, there was some anticipation, I guess, maybe from us, with a strong spring and summer, that the Hayeses, both of them, would be, reasonable factors in your defense. Curious what kind of week of practice they have, and do you see them kind of moving towards larger roles?
Yeah, they're gonna be, before it's all said and done, both those guys will play a role in our defense. It's you take the first week, obviously, and we were in sub personnel, and it is what it is. We've already kind of rehashed that, and then the Nevada game, we really wanted to kind of right the ship and went with the guys that we felt like could get us going in the right direction. We did, and now we're really looking at getting all of these guys to the point where they can contribute. So I'm very confident that you're going to see both the Hayes play more football. I think you'll see Okora and playing more football. Jameer Jones. I think there's a lot of guys that we have yet to see that will have roles for us on the defensive side of the ball.
A lot of your players have never played against Michigan State. It's been a couple of years, and I asked them what they knew about the rivalry. They said they didn't know much. As a coach, do you give them a little sense of what this rivalry means, not only to you, but to this university?
Yeah, we do. We talked about it a little bit this week in terms of who Michigan State is and, what the tradition is in terms of what's happened in the past. And we do a little bit of history with the guys because it had been a few years, 2013. So, yeah, we update them. We don't spend a ton of time on it, but we certainly update them. And look, they're aware this was a playoff team last year. So they're quite aware of Michigan State from a national perspective, but we update them a little bit about why we were playing them and why we haven't played them. And they're not up to date on all those, scheduling items as well.
Does this kind of have a playoff feel to you? I mean, big recruiting weekend, game at night, and obviously for you guys, a lot riding on it.
I don't know if it's a playoff feel as much as it's a big game feel for us. And but we have a lot of big games each and every week, and this is another one and a big recruiting weekend. But we're going to have another one with Stanford certainly. So it's a big game. There's no question. But we have a lot of big games at Notre Dame, and I don't think that we go through one year where there's just one real big game. There's a number of them, and this is certainly one of them.
Brian, there's these big recruit-a-palooza kind of weekends.
Yeah.
A few years ago, you guys didn't have a very high batting average with them in terms of landing people from them. Now, last maybe 2 or 3 years, it's been very high. Can you account for maybe what the difference is, why you're having such a better success rate with these?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the work that you put in prior to. A lot of the guys that will be visiting have had contact with us for quite a long period of time. Most, I think maybe there's only 1 or 2 that have not been on campus before. So these are return trips. So I think when I first came here, the big weekend, these guys were visiting for the first time. And that's a lot more difficult to get them focused on more than just the game. There's so many other things going on. So these visits change in the way you kind of present Notre Dame when they come up this second time. I think that's helped a lot. An expanded staff, which allows us to stay in constant contact with them. The expansion of, our social media contacts and things of that nature has really allowed us to drill deeper into each recruit and build a relationship that has, I think, allowed us to, make decisions and allow them to make decisions when they come up on their visits now.
Brian, on Tuesday you mentioned the physical nature of this game. Who are some guys you think that are really built for a smash mouth type of game or really enjoy, what kind of comes with this game? Niles sticks out. Are there any other guys that?
Yeah, our entire offensive line, I think, are all physical guys. Josh Adams is a physical player. I think if you look at, there's not one guy. Drew Tranquil is a physical player.
Tavon Coney. I mean, all of our guys like the physical contact, and that they'll rise to the occasion of what the game calls for, and the mental toughness necessary to match what Michigan State's all about. But this is not a boxing match either. This is not UFC. We've got to execute. We've got to catch the football. And what we can't get caught up in is the emotion of a game like this, where words turn into poor actions. And so I've talked to our guys about being poised and just doing their job. And if they do that, our team's strong enough and physical enough to match up with anybody.
And then through 2 games, you guys are one of only a couple teams without a sack. What kind of emphasis have you guys put on that this week? Is that kind of a byproduct of your opponents, previously this year? Just what, I guess, are your overall thoughts on as it relates to that?
It's not really something that we give much thought to. You saw how quickly the balls come out the last couple of weeks. We've harassed the quarterback the last week, forced him into some bad throws. I think it's a bit of an overrated stat. What you want to do is you want the quarterback to feel uncomfortable back there and to be pressured into making poor decisions and poor throws. The days of having that big defensive end that's just going to run by these offensive tackles, they're hard to find. These tackles are 6'6", 6'7". Their wingspan is they could virtually put one arm out and race you by the quarterback. So if you're getting the ball out in the time that you're supposed to get it out in quick game, it's hard to get to you. You're looking at knocking balls down now as a bigger stat in terms of disrupting passing game.
Thanks,
Good.
everybody.
All righty.
Thank you.